Today I'll show you 3 things in full detail. First, installing performance rotors, pads, and calipers. Second, installing performance steel brake lines. Third, how to bleed the brake system. Completely clean. Why so detailed? Because I want you to get it on the first watch. First, let's take the wheel off. In the air, the wheel spins freely. You can't loosen these 5 bolts that way. So we lower the car to the ground first and loosen the bolts. I'm using an extension bar. Saves effort. Just loosen them a bit. Don't remove them yet. I'll say it 3 times, don't remove them. Don't remove them. Don't remove them. If you take out all 5 bolts on the ground, one gust of wind, and the wheel falls off, and the whole chassis crashes down. Bolt 1 off. Bolt 2 off. Bolt 3. Bolt 4. On bolt 5, get ready to catch the wheel. Support the bottom of the wheel with one hand, since without any bolts hanging on the hub, the wheel tends to tip outward at the bottom. Now the whole brake assembly is exposed. For parts we're upgrading, first, the rotor. Second, the pads. Third, the caliper. Fourth, the brake line. The stock one on the car right now isn't steel braided, so it's really a rubber brake hose. The rotor's tucked in the deepest, so we'll save that for last. Let's start with what's outermost. The brake hose. This hose has 2 ends, one connects up here to the hard line on the body. The other end is over here, connecting to the caliper. Once we disconnect this hose, we're left with a clean, simple caliper. Easier to remove. Let's take a closer look at the hose. It has 2 mounting points in the middle. Here's the first one. First, free the wire in the way. Now pull the hose off its metal bracket firmly. This rubber disc protects the hose from wear. And here's the second mounting point. Alright, now the hose is only connected at both ends. Let's disconnect the body side first. Move this wire out of the way. There's a lot of dirt and grime here. Gotta clean first, before opening the line. Brake fluid's very corrosive, so let's plan ahead. Be prepared. Let the fluid drain onto a rag. Fluid will run down the hose in a moment. Let's tie a knot around the hose first. Loosen the nut with an 11mm wrench. Then finish loosening it by hand. Lines off. The hard line will keep dripping fluid. Plug it with any plastic cap. The hose end, drain the fluid, wrap it in a rag, set aside. Set it aside. Finally, disconnect the hose from the caliper. Wrap the fitting. Hoses off. Clean up any spilled brake fluid right away. It's water soluble, so cleaning with water at home works great too. What's next? Normally, for a full brake system upgrade, we'd now remove the two big bolts behind the caliper, this one and this one. Then slide the caliper and pads together. Off to the side is one piece. Let me show you. I'll set up a light here. These two big bolts are here. Let me point them out. See, one's this one. The other's this one. But we won't take the caliper off yet. First, let's remove the pads. This is the pad. We'll pull it out through this window. Right here. Out this way. Why remove the pad? Because I need parts inside it. This. See this pad guide. Pin, there are 2 total. 2 per wheel. Here's the second one. And I also need this pad spring. The cross-shaped one. These need to transfer to the new caliper. Let's pull the guide pin first. This guide pin goes through here into the left side of the caliper housing. All the way through. Into the caliper housing. You can see a small hole on the left. That's where our tool goes in. To push it out from that side. And you can probably guess, there's a bigger hole over here. For it to come out. See it? Its tail's already poking out. We'll pull it out from here. Let's get to it. Won't come out with a straight pull. The springs push the pad case off to one side. Let's reposition the spring. That makes it easy. Same for the case below. The 2 inner pads are currently held tight against the rotor by the caliper. We need a tool to separate them. There, now there's room to remove them. There's adhesive on the back. Need to peel it off firmly. The other pad has a wear sensor. Let's take that off too. You'll need a bit of patience to get help with this. Inner pad's off now. So the internal structure's exposed. This is a 4-piston caliper. Let me show you. See the pistons inside? 2 here. 2 over here as well. The pistons are flush with the housing now. Since I just pushed them back in. When you brake, these 4 pistons extend out, pressing the pads forward onto the rotor, and that stops the rotor from spinning. That's the whole braking principle, simple. Look at this dirty pad slide platform. And this side too. This platform must be cleaned before installing new pads, because the pads slide on these 4 platforms. On this rotor, there are 2 more up here. For pads to slide smoothly, these platforms need to be clean and lubricated, but I won't bother cleaning. This old caliper, it's going in storage. Now let's remove the last 2 bolts. This one and this one. Loosen with the long wrench first. Then finish by hand. This is the last caliper bolt. Only loosen it 1 turn. Never take it all the way out. The caliper is heavy and could hurt you if it drops. After loosening, cradle the caliper with your left hand. Remove the bolt with your right. Calipers off. The rotor's easy from here. Hold the rotor with your left hand. Remove the small black screw with your right. Well, that was for nothing. The rotor's rusted on. Won't budge, no worries, that's normal. Thread in 2 bolts and tap with a hammer. Rotor's still got decent thickness. Pad something underneath to avoid dents. Now we can pull the bolts and remove the rotor. All parts are off now. On the left is what came off. This is the BMW 540s. Stock 2NH, Codem Sport brakes. On the right is what we're installing. From a heavily used X3M. Sourced from Germany, calipers pulled off it. Let's start with the calipers. These 2 calipers are very similar. The M model's caliper is about 5 mm longer, and the overall curve differs slightly to fit different rotor sizes. The mounting width to the body differs too. See, my finger moves freely here, but not on the 540's brake. Apart from that, their core design, meaning the pistons, is exactly the same. Let me show you the details. This is a strip of paper 35 mm wide. Fits this small piston. And fits the other small piston. Identical. This is a strip 37 mm wide. Fits this large piston. Fits the other large piston. Still identical. So this tells us one thing. With the same pedal pressure, both calipers clamp the rotor with the same force. So does that mean our upgrade did nothing at all? Definitely not. Let's look at the rotors. Here's a strip 36 mm wide. Matches the 540 rotor's thickness perfectly. What about the X3M's drilled rotor? Same thickness. Now let's check the friction ring width. This is a 90 mm, tall fan-shaped template. Placing it on the X3M's drilled rotor. Not perfect yet. A bit more. Now it's perfect. Same template on the 540's rotor. Gotta line it up the same way. If it doesn't work today, I'm not stopping. There, satisfied now. Now you might be wondering. Both rotors are the same thickness. Same friction ring width. So what's different? Let's measure it. First I'll trace the X3M rotor's outline. Then trace the 540 rotor's shape. You can clearly see the 540's rotor is smaller. The 540 rotor's radius is 187 mm. This is the friction ring width. Template from earlier. Draw the pad shape. Let's roughly assume the midpoint of the friction ring width, about 45 mm in, is where the pad's braking force acts. So 187 minus 45 gives us the effective braking lever arm, 142 mm. Let's do the same calculation for the X3M on the left. Rotor radius, 197.5 mm. Draw the pad. Force acts at 45 mm. 197.5 minus 45 equals a 152.5 mm lever arm. Since the piston setup is identical, comparing the two lever arms tells us, with equal pedal force, the braking torque difference. The X3M is 7.4% higher than the 540s. A 7.4% gain isn't huge, but the owner had a clear need. Better cooling from the drilled rotor, and stable braking after sustained hard driving. Now let's look at the pads. Since friction ring width matches, the pad dimensions match too. Put the two pads together. The backing plate size is the same, but the friction material up front is different. The X3M's is noticeably wider, likely because drilled rotors wear pads faster. Also, the 540's pads have comfort features. This metal weight reduces noise. The X3M's pads don't have that weight. This is the pad retaining pin. The pad spring. It keeps the pads pressed firmly in place, cutting down noise and vibration. The brake hose is also a really popular upgrade. The stock rubber hose is quite soft, but the steel line's metal braided, so all the hydraulic force transfers straight to the pads, instead of being wasted on the hose expanding, like a stock one. No waste means less pedal-free travel, so braking becomes more responsive. Alright, we've covered all the parts. Now let's install them on the car. Back to the 540's front left wheel. This flange is where we mount the rotor and the wheel. Before installing, clean it thoroughly. If this cylindrical surface isn't clean, and it's really dirty right now, It'll throw off the centering of the rotor and wheel as they spin. When they rotate, you'll get wobble like this. Clean this side too. Otherwise you'll get wobble like this. Bottom line, must be spotless. The owner said the used rotor was too dirty. Asked me to brush its surface before installing. Did my best. This is as clean as it gets. Since I just cleaned the hub this well, the rotor mounting spot needs to be just as clean. Thread 2 lug bolts to hold it temporarily. Remember earlier, the 540's original rotor had a small black bolt securing it? The X3M rotor has no matching threaded hole, so we can't install that retaining bolt. Don't worry. The rotor's correct position is set by that hub flange we just cleaned, not that small bolt. Missing it just makes the job a bit more annoying for the mechanic, nothing else. The X3M caliper needs cleaning too before install. And it's not just about looks. You can see gunk stuck on the pistons, and the 2 pad slide surfaces are rough too. Run your hand over it, clearly bumpy. After cleaning, the pistons are spotless. The slide surfaces look textured, but they actually feel smooth to the touch. The extended pistons will block installation. Push them back into the caliper by hand first. Hold the caliper with your left hand. Thread the bolt with your right. If you can't find the hole, just wiggle the caliper slightly. These 2 big bolts should thread in smoothly by hand. If you can't turn them all the way by hand, something's not aligned right. 136 Newton meters, first bolt. 130 Newton meters, second bolt. Installing the pads is simple. They have a front and back, don't flip them. Slide it in through here. Here's a key point to remember. Since the pistons had to be pushed back before installing pads, there's a big gap now. So your first pedal press, maybe even the second, just closes that gap. No braking yet. After changing pads, always pump the brakes a few times in place to take up the slack. Forget this and you're risking a crash. Here's that pad slide surface we just cleaned. Now let's apply some lubrication, rust protection, and noise damping. Apply a thin, even layer of high-temp brake grease. Temperatures here get extremely high. Don't use regular grease. Where the pad contacts the piston, also apply high-temp grease. Don't forget the other pad either. Pad spring. Clean it before installing. The retaining pin needs cleaning too. Fit the wear sensor. Caliper and pads are all set. Let's install the steel line. The 2 ends of the line are different. The left end connects to the body. The right connects to the caliper. Between these 2, always install the body side first. See, the body side fitting has small tabs, so it has one specific mounting position. Can't rotate it freely. But the caliper end can rotate freely. No set orientation. Just lock it down with the nut at the end. Let's install the body side first. Remove the red plastic cap. Install the retaining clip. Feed the steel line fitting through the bracket. Secure with the nut. Thread the nut by hand about 5 turns first. If you can't get 5 turns by hand, something's off. Finish tightening with a wrench. An 11mm small wrench, using just wrist strength, is exactly enough. Don't use arm strength. Once connected, adjust the fitting's orientation on the line. Clip into the first mounting point. Clip into the second one. Now secure the steel line to the caliper. Hold the line straight with your left hand. Thread the lock nut all the way in with your right, like this. If you can't get it in, as far by hand as I did, your line's crooked. Back off and redo it. 11mm small wrench. Tighten with just wrist force. Clip the loose wires back into place. Steel lines are much stiffer than stock hoses, so the routing won't sit as smoothly as stock. Check carefully for any interference or rubbing. While turning the wheel, check it wheel off ground. And check it again with the wheel loaded. Because suspended versus loaded, the suspension geometry changes a lot. If you skip this check, you risk the line getting rubbed through, and brake failure. Brake systems all installed. Now we need to bleed the air out of the calipers and lines. Bleeding's simple, pressing the pedal. Pushes fluid into the body's hard line. Then into the steel line. Then into the caliper, and finally fluid and air bubbles come out through this bleed valve. I'm using 5mm inner diameter, 8mm outer diameter clear tubing. Usually we bleed with a power tool, but today I'll show you the fully manual high-pressure pulse bleed method. Have a friend sit in the driver's seat. Once you're ready at the valve with one hand, tell them to pump the brakes repeatedly. Pump firm, then hold it. Once done, your friend has to call out, holding it. Then, while they're holding the pedal down, with the system under 100 plus atmospheres of pressure, quickly open the valve. As much as you can to let fluid burst out. Watch me open the valve. Close valve. Opening the valve, that's simple. Once the spray stops, close the valve. Might be confusing, so let me show it again with split screen. Call out again. Pump the brakes. Firm, then hold. Holding. Spray's done, close the valve. Repeat this a few times until there's no more air in the line. Lock the bleed valve. Can't just bleed fluid out below without refilling from above. Otherwise air gets sucked in from the reservoir, affecting all 4 brakes. Grab a bottle of BMW spec brake fluid, top it off before bleeding, every 5 pumps during bleeding. And once every wheel's bled, fill the reservoir back up. Blow off the dust, then open the cap. This caliper has 2 bleed valves. After the outer, bleed the inner one. Same process exactly. Give it a final clean. Tidy it up. That's the fully manual pulse bleed method. If you want to try it at home, pause here and review this bleeding checklist carefully. Now let's mount the wheel. Line up the lug bolt holes. On the wheel, clean both the mating face and the centering cone thoroughly. No need to polish it shiny. Just make sure it's smooth to the touch. On the centering spot, apply heat-resistant anti-rust grease. Skip the grease on the wheel's mating face. Keep the lug bolts and socket within easy reach, so you're not hunting for them while holding up a heavy wheel. While the lugs aren't fully on yet, let me show you the wheel bolt holes, rotor bolt holes, and hub threads lined up perfectly. If yours aren't aligned, find a way to line them up. While the wheel's off the ground, snug the lugs before lowering it. Once down, torque to 146 Newton meters. Double check at 146 Newton meters one more time. All done now. Hope this helped. If you're really planning to DIY your brakes, here are 2 safety tips. First, don't hit the road for your test drive. Try it in an empty lot first. Second, know how your car's backup brake works. A lot of people don't know that if the brake pedal ever fails, how to use the electronic parking brake to stop. I'm Master Dong, the BMW specialist. Follow me, see you in the next video.